Some of the things I'm going to show you today are a bit of a repeat, but I decided to start some kind of a series here, and it's going to be automation. What I want to focus on is automation in both Inventor and Vault. And when I talk about automation, it could be anything. It's just uncovering a new feature in the software that you're unaware of, or functionality with a particular feature that you are unaware of that can really speed things up, help the company standardize what they're doing, and just improve your workflow. And I would also love feedback. If you see anything today and you think it could be improved upon, or you have other ideas, or maybe it sparks an idea, send it along, and I'll try to include it in our next automation series, and depending what the topic is and how I can address it. And so I'm not going to bore you with a lot of PowerPoint. I want to talk about simple automation. Just when we talk about, again, automation is how can we improve what we're doing in Inventor? How can we improve what we're doing in Vault? And a lot of it is just the title block. I think most of you are not guilty of this, but you have this. When I create a brand new file, I have one title block. Most of you will have an A size, A vertical, B size, D size, E size, all the different formats, and you have to choose the one that you want when you create it. That takes time. So I'm going to show you something about the template file. Then we're going to get into some iLogic for copying text. And we'll talk more about, I want to get off the PowerPoint. Just want to go through some of the slides we're going to be covering. It's for those of you who haven't done it yet, it's going to be an introduction to iLogic, which is not terrible. Don't be scared of it. It's really not so bad. And the copy design in Vault. How do we maximize and update properties dynamically? We talk about that. And some view labels. And I think I have a couple of users that I was on the phone with them this week, and I'm going to show you the steps that they do to create their view labels, and they put the item number and the quantity. And it's difficult, it's time consuming, especially if you have hundreds of files, right? Hundreds of models that have to be detailed, and you need this information. A lot of the shop floor, manufacturing, they don't want to always reference, oh, this is the part file, this is the part number, I have to reference the parts list, look at the item number, look at the quantity. They'd like the information to be associated with the view. So I'm going to talk about some of those things and just how we can get around it. Get out of this. And full disclosure, I am not a programmer, all right? Let me bring up my meeting. There we go. So I am not a full-fledged programmer. I know a little bit more than enough to be dangerous, and I've been learning over the years just doing it. And what I can tell you is that AI is your friend, Google searches, and I always joke with my customers, I haven't written code originally from scratch by myself. I plagiarize anytime I can. And when we talk about programming or just taking some code snippets, it's worthwhile. And there's a lot of information out there online. So the first thing I want to talk about is just how does my title block work? And again, any questions, Juliana will interrupt me and I can answer those as we go. So when I create a new file, again, I have a single template file for the drawings. And when I'm in here, I have it default to the B size because that's maybe 90% of what I do is a B size. But what I have the ability to do is I want to make a C size. I simply just run this trigger, C size page 1, and I'm done. So it's that simple, and it's just a little bit of iLogic code built into the template file that allows me to define that. Go back to my trigger, and let's say it's a page 2 sheet, because let's see, I can actually hit OK to that. Let's bring this one back to page 1, and I'll create a new sheet. And this one is going to be a page 2. Maybe the page 2 and plus has a different title block. It's a smaller, less information in there. But very simply, I have my first sheet, I have my second sheet. But I do it with a single title block. So this also makes managing them, sharing them in the company a lot easier. Upgrading from one version of Inventor, much easier. You don't have all those title blocks. And if you need to make a change to the address or the logo, you really have just one file to modify versus 4, 5, 6. Not that it happens a lot, but I've seen companies struggle with this, especially when we do upgrades. So again, I'm just trying to promote new things. And the way that it works this little trigger right here, this is a special iLogic trigger. And really it's just a bunch of if statements. If I choose C size, I want the software to, just like you would do manually, you would edit the sheet, right? So you would edit the sheet, change the sheet size, and you might swap out the title block. Anything that you can do in Inventor manually, we can automate it. And if we look at the iLogic code behind it, it's just a bunch of if statements. This trigger right there, that's what allows, very simply, if I click on trigger, to launch this piece of code. So I don't have to remember a macro or go into VBA. I just click on trigger and it will launch the code within this particular file. And then hint here, I'm sorry, is it's just a bunch of if statements. If I select A size horizontal, it's going to activate a sheet size, bring in my borders, bring in my title block, and then again, B size over here. And you can add as many that is required for your company. It's that simple. And the only thing I'm doing with this is I create a little parameter. Let's see, parameters is my format. It's just a multi-value parameter. And I just fill them in here. And I just have my if statements tie into it. So again, whatever I select, the if statement will lock into it and then set whatever I determine I want to happen. I did not write this. I did some searching, found it online, copied it, and just tweaked it a little bit to suit my needs. And that's mostly what you're going to do with the iLogic and any kind of code that you download. You will tweak it and modify it to suit your needs. Are there any questions on that? Does anyone see any value to this? And if you could do the comments, and Juliana will read them out as we go.
Yep, leave the questions down below the screen and I will read them.
Okay. I'm sorry, did you say there is a question?
No, there's not a question, but I'm telling them
right,
they can leave it down below.
Okay. All right. So that is that. And then we're going to go look at, let's see. So we did the title block. Now I'm going to look at the drawing iProperties. Most of our customers today have been using Vault, and they've been upgrading from Vault Basic to Vault Professional. And when they look at a file like this, right now this is great. We have the views, we have all the detailed drawings. And if we go look at Vault, one of the issues we're going to have is when I check this file in, the rules that most of our customers will use is that there are some settings that are required in order to release a file. And the most common one is that the description or title or project or some iProperty has value so that people within your company or the shop floor, maybe they're only looking at drawings, maybe they're only looking at PDF files. That information needs to be there so that it's searchable instead of just being the file name. So one of the problems that we have with this is this file right here. If I look at the iProperty, description is blank. And most times, the iProperty of the drawing should match the iProperty of the model, right? So they should. And if I look at the assembly file, and if I look at the description here, I see it. Simple, it's just suspension assembly. I would like to get that into the drawing file, iProperty. And this is what I've seen. The companies will copy, paste, they'll edit. They're editing a lot of metadata unnecessarily. They're going into the properties, they're filling it in, they're copying from the assembly, pasting it in. It's a lot of work. And what happens is, as soon as they go to release their file, and that's where they get the productivity is just blocked. They can't release files, they can't do things because the standardization is not there. They're missing information. They're missing a lot of this metadata that's required based on the company. So we want to tackle that right at the very beginning. You want to enter the information once and be done with it. And that's what I've been really a proponent of. So when I go to Inventor, you have the ability, and we talk about automation, instead of doing a copy paste, you could always go to the document settings, drawing, and this is something a lot of people don't know of. There's a copy model iProperties setting, long-winded, right? It's a long command string. When you click on that, this is going to do just what I said. It's going to copy whatever property you define from the model, whether it be an assembly or part file, into the drawing. So I'm going to copy the model properties, and I can choose which ones I want, or just do all of them. It's entirely up to you. But I'll get rid of this, and maybe I just want the description. So now if I look at my iProperties, my description is there. That's great unless someone goes in here and they modify it, right? So come over here, just for the sake of modifying it. And then we go to the drawing file. It does have a description. It meets the criteria. It will release. However, they don't match at this point. And so now if I look at my properties, it's not the same. I have to repeat that process again. Document settings, drawing, and I will tell you, nobody does this. And this is what you can do. All right, it remembers what you did last. So you just click that and hit OK. And now my property should match. It did not, because I have to actually, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna close that. Update copied properties. Once it's set, you just have to hit this button. Again, as I said, we use this so little, we forget the features. So now you have to go to another palette, click here, and then it will bring it in. And it works. But it's something that you have to remember. And I've got users on this call that I know that their assemblies are massive, and this just is not realistic. What we want to do is add automation to this. And what we want to do is just save the drawing, and then that save should bring in all the data. And if we look at iLogic, for those of you who have never seen this before, this is your model browser, and that little plus sign right to the right of model allows you to get other panels that are available, and one of them is iLogic. And in here, I create some external rules, and I can show you how to do this later on. This is not appropriate for today, but I have an external rule that I created. I scroll down, and it's actually right there. Drawing property update for model, okay? Very original. If I look at it and I edit, it does everything that that command did where the update copied model properties. And all this is doing, it's taken the base view, takes the model within that, and it takes the properties that you defined. Now, I've only done a handful. You can do any of them. You can do custom properties, whatever is necessary for your company. But these are the main ones: title, category, part number, description, project, and so on. And if I go to my assembly file, and I make a change to that, and the only thing I have to do is run this rule, and now everything is up to date. That's not bad, but we can actually make it better. The only thing I should have to do is just save the file. And that's these rules, we can actually cause certain events to run those. An event is save the file, open the file, close the file. Any event that we designate, we can actually define and run something. So when I go over to the event triggers, I'm in a drawing file. Here's my program. It says drawing property update. I want this program to run before I save. Right there. I hit OK. Now all I have to do is work. Go to my iProperty. You do have to change it once. We'll go 009. And then when I go to my drawing file, got to save it. If I close it, it's going to prompt me to save it. And that's it. That's all I have to do. Save it. It'll run the rule automatically. And if I go to my properties, everything updates. No muss, no fuss. Everything works. It's dynamic. Everything gets checked in. If I check this file in, and I am not going to delete my files. I'm just going to check it in. Okay, and if I go to my Vault, and if you're unaware of this as well, the quick way of going directly to Vault, and I see users do this, they'll go to Vault and they'll navigate to the file. All you have to do is right-click on the file here. Let's see. And actually, we'll just do it from the Vault. Go to Vault folder. It brings me to the folder, it brings me to the file, and it's going to show me the information. Do a refresh. And there's my description. Now I can release this file. It's not going to prevent me from doing anything. I can do everything that I need. Okay. All right. Any questions?
No, I don't have a question at the moment.
Okay. All right. So the next thing we want to look at. Oh, also, if I can get some, even I think you can do thumbs up if you like that particular functionality. Just let me know. And let's take a look over here. That's that. And copy design. We'll look at that one next. Copy design inside of Vault. This requires absolutely no programming at all. It's just using the functionality. But when I look at a particular file like this one, and I look at this file, most of my customers or users, they're entering this information into the title blocks, which is good. It's good to do that. This file was originally created in 2018, and it was checked by, the manufacturer was checked by, the dates were put in. This is all good. Now, when you copy this file, this also has a revision history. The copy design works in both Vault Basic or Vault Professional, doesn't matter. But with the Vault Professional, you do have revision control. This is at Rev 7, and I do have my Rev history, which is updated automatically. Dates and approves, they're put in automatically when the file is actually, when the states are changing. Now, to do this, if I copy this design, the one thing I don't want is I don't want my dates and the approvers to be in there. I want to clear that information out. The other thing is the date. I'm copying the design. I may want to put today's date in because now it's a brand new file. Even though it started from an existing one, I did it today. And it might be done by someone else. So I want the username to change and the date to change. The other thing is the drawn by. Let's just back this up just 1 second. If I do new drawing, and if I look at this, it's drawn by as JRD. This is another little thing. I see a lot of people, they're going in there editing this after they create the file. They go to the iProperty, summary, and they'll change this to be, I'll use Juliana, who I am. Okay, they're going in there and changing it to match what they want it to be. If you just go into application options, and I change my username to be whatever I want it to be, that will take the author. So when I create a new file, this is going to be done automatically. You want to me, keep a focus and try to eliminate any unnecessary steps. I want to be able to just create, design, annotate, create my drawings, and not be inundated with all these mundane tasks, little things like that. I'm going to put that back before I forget. Let's go to application options, change that back to JRD. And I will tell you, most users forget or don't know that they can actually change that. All right, now by changing it, it won't change any existing file. It's only when you create a new file. All right, so let's close that. So let's go to Vault. And this is personal preference. When I do a copy design, I always focus on the model inside of Vault. Drop this down. And when I click on a drawing file, I make use of the uses and the where use tab greatly. So expand this. There's my model that is controlled by the drawing file, and I want to copy it. So I'm just going to do copy design. The copy design is probably the top 3 reasons why people use Vault to begin with. Check in, check out, and the copy design. Most manufacturers, well, a lot of times when they create geometry, they're taken from something that already exists, and they're going to create something new from it instead of starting over. Really common workflow. I'm going to create this file, and I'm going to copy it to somewhere, and I'll put it in the junk folder for today, and it's going to give me a prefix copy of. Now, Vault Basic doesn't have this, and Vault Professional does. We have built-in numbering schemes. So if I right-click on this, I can change my scheme to be frame, sequential, or tube and pipe. If you're not familiar with this, these are just predefined automatic numbering schemes. And how they work is really simple. Like this file right here, I just created it. I hit save. Actually, let me bring up a part file. Let's see, we'll do the sky. I got to make sure that it turns on. Let me close this for a second. And my numbering is right here. And yeah, so I have a few that are turned on in my, I don't have a default, so I'm going to set my default to sequential. And I'm going to turn on a bunch of these. And these are the preview of what the numbering format would look like. I do a lot of frame generated components. I'll do a lot of bolted connections. I do an FR dash, and I let Vault give me the next, I have 6 digits. It'll give me the next sequential number, and for bolted connections as well. So I use those a lot. If I do tube and pipe, I do TP, and I just try to organize it as such. And a 200 series. And there's things with question marks. There's drop downs. I'll bring in the capacitors, and I'll just turn those on. Now when I hit save, I'm going to be prompted with this. It defaults to sequential. I'll do capacitors, and then I can drop this down, assembly or part, so they can be slightly dynamic. So this is how we can create your automatic numbering convention. We can actually use that inside of Vault in the copy design. So I'm going to do copy design. Copy to. I'll put it there, remember where I was, and I will change my numbering scheme. Now, you saw that in Vault, I have way more numbering schemes to choose from. I'm only seeing 3. You can manage this. So under define, actually not there, sorry. Under options, numbering schemes, configure, you tell it which ones you want to use. So if you have a lot, and the most I've seen in the company was 50 numbering schemes, which is quite a lot, but they have the ability to filter out what they don't need. But I'm going to turn them all on. So why not? We have access to them. And now I choose what I would like here. So I'm going to do, we'll do the 200 series. So it'll be 200-101-3 digits. That's what it's going to give me. Now, if I just do the copy like this, and I'll execute it, and for those of you who are not aware of the copy design, you don't see the drawing file. It's done automatically. It's in the background, and it goes along for the ride. If there's a drawing, it gets copied, and it gets named the actual same as the model that we just renamed. I'll close this. I'll switch over to collapse this. And it is, oh, let's look over here. Right there, look at my view. I can see when I did it, I copied it, the system, 126, 811, 109. So I can see what I did. This is the one, was right here. I should have looked at the file name better, but here it is here. And if I look at my view, I don't have that, so I'm going to update it dynamically right now.
Just a comment that I want to read. It's not a question, but Joseph says, we here at ASI have already set up our numbering system with Jim's help. It works great. Highly recommended.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. And hang on, Joe. You're going to like what I'm going to show next. So when I look at this, I look at my view, I copied it. And then again, I have to go, now I have everything. I don't want this. So now the next step is I have to open this file, check it out, and I have to delete this information. I have to delete the revision history table because it's not accurate. I want to eliminate those steps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this file, go back to the model, and this time when I copy design, this is what I meant by features within a features within a certain functionality that people are not aware of. So in here, we have this rule. It's called default rule set. That's what comes with Vault when you install it, and that's what people use. Most of us have never changed this. If I click on define, I can set up other rules. I created an MTC user date rule, and if I edit this, it's going to do the things that I just told you. It's going to change the author to me because I'm doing the copy design. So the author is going to change and the drawing will change. The date the file was created is going to change to today's date. And check by all of this information is going to be set to blank. It's going to eliminate it. So it's going to, again, reducing the steps. Cancel this. Drop this down. These rules are global. If I set this rule and I'm working at ASI with Joe and Reese, they'll see those rules as well. I don't have to copy them like I did years ago into their local computers. We're sharing this information, so it's dynamic, it's up to date. Copy to. I'm going to put this in the MTC 200 folder, and I'm going to change my scheme to, let's go to sequential. And I will execute. I'll look at the file name this time before I leave the screen, because it will give me the file name that gets generated automatically. Because that's a placeholder to start off with. All right, it's 324. And again, we can search on it. It's going to be 324. And if I look at my view and I update it, okay, looks good. Let's look at the title block. And you might see something that stands out. This is all cleared, but the revision is still 7, right? And if we look over here, the revision history is also wrong. This is also not a problem because we're using Vault Professional. We have lifecycle states. And I can see this little guy right here is telling me that the file is non-compliant. And what that means is Vault revision is A, the file revision is 7. Well, that's wrong. So what happens is, as soon as I change the state to be released, the system's been configured to do a few things. And one of them is synchronize the properties. And that revision history is actually tied to Vault Professional. And my job processor is on this computer. Here it is here. And it's already started processing. So those of you that I've been working with lately, some of the job processors is on your computer. This is an example of the job processor on a dedicated system. It usually defaults to 10 minutes. And when I have dedicated systems, I defaulted to 30 seconds. So it's just like, it's always going to be running. You don't have to wait, and things are just, you get what you need when you need them. So it's creating the necessary files. Now, my job processor looks a little bit different from yours, because I am using Cool Orange, which is a third-party add-in for Vault. And we're going to talk about that in our next session when we get into automation. So it's creating the necessary files. When this finishes, I'll have what I need. Let this run over here. I'll put it on a different monitor. All right, I'll bring it back so you can see it. It's actually updating the revision. Oh, you missed it. The revision history table is being updated, and the PDF is being generated. It's also updating the visualization file automatically. So as soon as I release that, it's doing everything I need to do. In a session like this, it does seem like, oh, well, we got to wait. Yeah, sometimes 30 seconds or a minute, depending on how many jobs might be in front of it, but it's usually pretty quick. I'll do a refresh. And now when I look at the drawing file, it's Rev A, like it's supposed to, and it changed the revision history automatically, less that I have to do. And that's what we want to try to eliminate, is those manual steps. And this is really important when you work with large assemblies. You've got many, many files. How do we work seamlessly in those files? Okay. Now, Vault Basic does the copy design. It does the rules. It doesn't do numbering schemes, and it doesn't have lifecycle states and revisions. So, but the Vault, the copy design looks exactly like it does in Vault Professional. They have finally unified that. The Vault Basic copy design 2024 and earlier was a little quirky, and the interface was, it needed a lot of work. Okay, so that is that. Let's talk about, close this, don't need that anymore. And I don't need this at all either. And let's close this. Just clean up my interface here a little bit. All right, so we have an assembly file. Weldment could be whatever you designate this, but this is an assembly. I have my parts list, I have my item numbers. I can see that this plate over here is item 9. I see the end cap for the tube is item 2, and so on. Now, if I go to sheet 2, I have some views. Some of you would like the quantity in here and also the item number associated with that. So if I go over to here, this is not something you can do ahead of time. You have to do it now, right? You have to do it at this point. I would actually have to edit this view. I have to turn the view on, edit the view. And you need to know certain information. So when I want to add like item number, I got to type in item. If I could type item number. And now what I can do is I go to my parts list properties that I only have one assembly. Depending on how complicated your sheet is, this could get a little confusing. I'm going to go into my parts list items, and it happens to be, I know this one is the end cap, so it's item 2. I have to select that, right? That can be difficult to, especially, again, large assemblies, large parts list. I think that'd be a little overwhelming. Hit OK. And I want the item number, and I bring it in. Then I want maybe the quantity required. So I do item, quantity, bring that in, and REQ. Again, you can format this any way you want. I hit OK, and OK. There it is. Item 2, 4 required. I got to repeat that for every view, right? That's a lot of work. What I cannot do for you today is to dynamically, actually, I'm going to get to my assembly file. There's no way that I could update the template file, your style, so that information is pre-baked into that. It just, you can't do that. If you look at the drawing file, and it doesn't matter what drawing file that you're in, if I go to Manage and Styles, They'll pop up. There we go. Right? We go to the view preferences and we edit. We don't have the parts list properties because we don't have an actual view. It's not there, so we can't use it. So that's a problem. But, and this is where iLogic comes in. Close this. What I can do is at the assembly level, I can run a piece of code and it's going to push the item number and the quantity into an iProperty. It can either be a standard or a custom, doesn't matter. And then I can use that information for my annotations and my views. I have a little iLogic code, and actually I'm going to be, everything I show you today is accessible to you all. We can send this information to you. This is all available. I created a little program. It's called BOM Quantity iProp. I call it run because that's what I want to run, because it'll run a sub program underneath it. Again, I didn't have a lot of time. I went online, I stole some code for pushing the item number, and I stole code for pushing the quantity over. And so I just had two codes, and I ran one and then run the other one from within it. So if I edit this, the first thing it does, it runs the BOM item iProperty. So it pushes the BOM item number to the iProperty, and you specify what that iProperty is. Then it's just making sure that you have an assembly file, and you want some error checking. So if I was in a part file, and I try running that, it fails ungracefully because it's looking for an assembly file. It doesn't there. You must have an assembly file. So that code's going to be cleaned up just a little bit. Again, I put it together pretty quickly. But at the assembly level here, not this one, this one. And when I'm opening my files in different orders, I'm going to take this and just move it so it's next to the now it's right next to the drawing file. Suspension and the drawing. I'll move it over one here. So you can move the tabs around. So what I want to do is I want to run this code and I want to push the information directly to the components. Now if I do the run the rule, oh, I did edit, sorry. Run rule. Now I'm using Vault. These files are not checked out. It's going to prompt me to check it out because it's going to modify the files. Yes to all. If I checked it out previously, this would run even faster. Okay. If I look at this part right here and I go to my iProperties, custom, I have my MTC BOM number, that's item number 9, and the quantity of 2. Now, if I look at my drawing file, how do we get that in here now? That's the other problem. So I created another piece of code that adds the view labels. And if I run this, that's what it does. It'll update every view and put their item number and quantity in. And if I make a change to the assembly file, this is kind of a silly change, but I'm just going to do a copy and paste. Now I have 3. I just run the rule again, and it's done, and the drawing updates. I never have to worry about it. I never have to think about it. I just run it. If I add another view, I just run the labels again, and I'm done. It puts it on the base, every base view will get that label. Now, how did I do this? That's where it gets a little tricky. So let's say I wanted to format this a little different. I want to put the scale above the part number, maybe the part number at the bottom. I want to separate item number and one required. I want, like maybe 4 lines. I'll edit this. And I just format it the way that I want to see it. Over here, I'll just bring this down 1 line, and I'll put the quantity there. And And let's say maybe I want to add the project number here. So this is going to be standard properties on the model project. And I'll just add that. And at the very beginning of that, I'll just type in project number. Now, when I wrote this code, I wrote it to look like this. Well, how did I do it is there's another code that I found. I was struggling with this because when you see the coding to format this, let me go to my this code here. I'll edit this rule so you can see it. This was so cryptic to me. String 1, that's my part number, and that's the formatting. This is how it has to be this is how it has to be formatted to work, right? I don't know about you, but coding is not my forte, and figuring out that syntax is very, very difficult. Line 2, that gets me my scale, and then line 3, that gets me the item number, which are 2 custom properties. How long this last one is. That's a lot of formatting. I don't have the time or patience for that. I found some code. I'll close this. You format the view the way that you like it. You select the view, and then capture view format. If I edit this, that's all this rule does. It copies the formatting of the view label. This is it. It's 25 lines long, right? That's all there is. And if I run that rule, it's like, oh, that looks like an error. It actually isn't. What it did, it put that information in the I property right here. So you can copy and paste it, and then you can tweak the formatting of it. That's how I did it. I found some code to capture it, put it in there, and I just tweaked it a little bit. There was no way I was typing that in from scratch. So once you format the label the way that you like it, capture it, you tweak it, and then when you create your code and you run it, it'll update everything. And it doesn't matter. So depending who's ever using the code, who's ever changed the view labels, even if they weren't on, it turns them on. It places them exactly the way you want it. And what I did on my label is I always try to make things that are portable. Joe's on the line. I know he's here. He might say the font size is 0.3. That's centimeters. He goes, I don't want 0.3. Change it. Instead of hard-coding the value, I just put a variable and just changed it. So that's size 1 and size 2. So you can modify that as variables, and you'll see f size 1. Here it is there. And again, you can, if you change that, they'll all change appropriately versus going into the code everywhere that you want to change the text type. And so on. You can make those changes. I didn't change heights to be different. They could be, but I didn't. Everything's the same. So I'm not even using this one right now. I'm just using this one. If you want to change the font, it's not a problem. But at least get started. You're not starting from scratch. You have the ability to take from the system, use code to capture what you need, and then just generate it. This information, these programs that are here that you see, none of them have been created by me originally. I search online, I use AI, and I find code, and most of it is 95+% complete, ready to go. Just some slight alterations. Don't shy away from it. Try to keep an eye for what you're doing and if it can be simplified. My whole goal when I talk to customers is try to understand their workflows and try to offer suggestions on how to improve, eliminate, improve productivity, and just make what we do as engineers easier and better. We want to design. We want to be able to engineer. Most of us do not like managing software. I have to remember to do this and this and this. Back in the AutoCAD days, before I dimension, I got to remember to change my layer. And, oh, I'm going to do hatching now. I'm going to change my layer. I should just be able to work. I want to add dimensions. I want to add hatching. The system should respond to what you're doing. And I try to keep that in mind. So that's our first series in the automation. And the next month, we're going to get into more Vault automation. That's a little bit more difficult because Those of you using AutoCAD, we've had Auto Lisp and Visual Lisp and VBA for years. Inventor, we've only had it for about 10 to 15 years, which is the iLogic. Before that, there was only VBA. iLogic is great for the non-programmers. Vault automation, that's a little more dicey. And we're going to get into that and how we can automate the copy design I did just by using functionality within the code. But we want to get into the actual API to do more things. And that's going to be based on our next series of our user group meetings. Any questions that I can answer or expand on?
No, you can go ahead.
Oh, I do see 2 Q&As. Let's see.
No, those were from
Joe.
earlier, but that were not a question, yeah.
All right, awesome.
Joseph says, good improvements. Thanks, Jim.
Awesome. We're here to help you. So feel free to reach out. We'll do what we can. The code that I have today, it's open to everyone. It's free. I can send it to you. You can search online and find it yourself. There's a lot of websites. There's a massive community out there. And we're going to get into more on, like, say, ECOs and just tying Inventor and Vault together. Just about eliminating steps, processes. That's the goal. Other than that, that's it for today for our first series, and we have more to come.
Thank you so much, Jim, for this wonderful presentation. I would like to remind everyone that on the top of your screen, you have the Contact Us button, the products and services, so you can all have more information in anything that you could be interested in that we offer. And also, we highly recommend you to register to the webinars that are upcoming. I think they're on the top right. And even if you cannot make it, if you register, you will receive the on-demand recording. So just for that, register so you can get that. I also wanted to remind everyone that we offer group classes online. And if you want to learn any of these topics in detail, you can take a custom training with Jim or someone else on our team. And with that, I would like to thank Jim for this wonderful presentation and thank everyone for attending.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time and your energy today. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Also, we will be receiving an email after this webinar. You can also reply to that if you have any further questions. But yeah, with that, I would like to thank everyone and wish you a good rest of your week.
Thank you. Thanks for the honor of doing this. Appreciate you managing the user group.
Okay. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye now.